If you are a marksman player, I assume that you already know the news about Claude's comeback in the meta. He was recently nerfed about a few months ago, and boy, Moonton really made him weak by adjusting his skills. But the good news is, he's back and can dominate the game again. So without further ado, let us teach you how to use Claude effectively. There are times in Mobile Legends that you just get confused on which marksman hero that you should use. It's a tough decision to make because most of them have pretty much great abilities and can easily be an unstoppable force. But I think what makes Claude an outstanding marksman in the game is his ability to clear minion waves fast and rotate much faster than the other marksman heroes in the game. Now let's talk about his preparations, the emblems, the spells, and items to complement Claude's ability. The first is for his emblems. Commonly, as of today's meta, Claude will definitely go in the mid lane with a support and a tank to assist him. In that case, more often than not, Claude will much likely rotate the whole map to farm for gold and experience, and as usual to kill enemies. So I recommend that you use an assassin emblem rather than a marksman emblem. This emblem consists of level 3 bravery for an additional 12 points of physical attack. Usually I am using the level 3 agility for my marksman in the game. That will give plus 6% of movement speed. But Claude does not need that extra movement speed because his first active skill can make him faster when he has many stacks. Also, the emblem has level 3 invasion for you to have a plus 6 points of physical penetration that will allow you to ignore your enemy's physical defense. This additional stat is a huge help for Claude because if you don't know, Claude doesn't have that much damage like the other marksmen, because Claude mainly relies on his attack speed to kill enemies. Next is for his talent. You can pick between the bounty hunter and the killing spree. If your team decides to be aggressive in the early game and your gameplay is more kill than farm, I suggest that you pick bounty hunter for more gold when you kill an enemy. But if you want to be an unstoppable core in the clash, you may pick the killing spree. This talent will allow you to restore 15% of your max HP and gain additional 20% of movement speed that lasts for 5 seconds every after you kill an enemy. Now let's talk about his spells. Basically, this one is very fixed for Claude. Since he is a soft hero and very prone to being killed, I suggest choosing the Purify spell. Purify will help Claude to escape possible ambushes and whenever he is controlled in a team fight. This Purify will be a very crucial addition for Claude because, as we all know, Claude is mainly relying on his basic attacks. That's why he always needs good positioning in a clash for him to hit enemies freely. Next, let's talk about the efficient items for Claude. First of all, when you use Claude, you must buy the jungle item, the Raptor Machete. It will give him 30 points of physical attack and 15% of physical penetration. Aside from that, this can help him very well in farming monsters in the early game up to the late game. Also, this has a passive that can make a hero level up much faster and farm on their own. But the most useful part about this item is that every time you kill a monster, there will be an additional 4 points of physical attack that can be stacked up to 15 times. Next is for the boots. I suggest that you get magic shoes for an extra cooldown reduction. But if you think you have to go buy the demon shoes because you are not content about his mana, you can pretty much use it as an alternative. Next is the Demon Hunter sword. This item is a must buy for Claude because of the passives that make his basic attack deal an extra 9% of the target's HP and can grant basic attack with 3% lifesteal for 3 seconds that can stack up to 5 times. The next item is the Golden Staff. Again, Claude is relying on his basic attacks. That's why he must have high attack speed ability for him to deal a lot of damage. This item has an additional stat of 65 points of physical attack and 30% of attack speed. Aside from that, this item has a passive that will make his normal attack double because of the additional Endless Strike for a normal attack. After gaining 2 stacks of Endless Strikes, the next basic attack will trigger 3 times. Now let's go for the tips on playing Claude. First, let us talk about the heroes that can counter him. Obviously, there are many heroes that you can choose when you want to counter Claude, because he is a very squishy hero. But usually, heroes that have high crowd control ability can be a useful tool to counter Claude. But the good thing is, Claude can counter many heroes in the game. He can be a good carry when the enemies have tanks and fighters that lack crowd control skills. He can counter them because Claude can move fast and can hit enemies without taking damage. Now let's talk about the effective gameplay for Claude. First of all, you must farm in the early game. It is very crucial for Claude to farm in the early game because it will determine his ability to dominate the game in the mid game and the late game. The next tip is that you can use his ultimate skill to clear minion waves in the early game. Some players are shy about using their ultimate skill for farming in the early game because they think they must have it ready when a team fight occurs. Yes, that is correct, but Cloud's ultimate skill cannot damage a lot in the early game because he doesn't have enough offensive items to complement it. So it is a good thing that you use it for farming minion waves for you to get those items faster and rotate the whole map. The next tip of playing Cloud is always have a good position in team fights. This factor is very crucial. When you use Claude, you must choose the right spot for you to hit the enemies. But you also have to move a lot if there's an ongoing clash. You must take advantage of Claude's ability to move fast and hit enemies without them hitting you. And for our last tip in playing Claude is to focus on the right target. Always find their core heroes and their damage dealers. As I said earlier, Claude is a very squishy hero and can be killed when controlled by the enemies. So it is a must for you to make the clash worth it by killing the enemy's core heroes first and their support. I see many Cloud users that don't hit their priority targets and end up dead by a single blow of those damage dealers. So better to avoid that by killing those damage dealers first. I think that sums up the tips and ideas on how to play Claude effectively. So, what do you guys think? Leave your thoughts in the comment section below and don't forget to like, subscribe, hit the bell icon, and don't forget to visit yugatech.com/gaming for more news, tips, and tricks. It's your boy Yenzo, and stay safe!